Sunday, July 16th, 07:25 a.m. New York time. Good morning. This is a trade idea. The stock symbol is Romeo Bravo Lima X-ray. It's a rather new stock. Just did IPO a few years ago. The company's name is called Rolex Corporation, if I pronounced that right. It's an American company. It's gaming systems software. This trade specifically is with options because what alerted to me as a trade is the options. And I'll show you that after we look at the charts. Look at the weekly chart here. Yeah, there was a high during the last 3 years. Here was a low during the last 3 years. Looking at the current year. Closed green for the week. Higher high, higher low. Broke above the swing high. Above this consolidation. Again, here was the low of the year. Here was the high of the year. So it's grinding up. The current trend on the weekly is up. Big wake up here. So that could be day traders, swing traders. But the point is it broke above that swing high. Yeah. Fill this gap. Big impulse moved down here. It occurred. And we broke above it and closed above it. So that's history. That's over. This consolidation also was big duration. Look at that, big white candles. Wasn't huge panic selling. Nope. Holding it. So here, this past week, huge volume. You're going to see volume over here when I hover over that week. This volume past week was over 58 million. The swing high was 35 million. So obviously there's more volume of this breakout versus the prior swing low. Swing high. Got it. There's still interest in this. First, if we look at this low, 32 million. The bottom, 32 million. High, 58 million. So obviously there's someone buying and selling all the time, but the people willing to buy at this new high versus people selling at that low, that wasn't panic selling because the volume was light versus the higher volume on the breakout. Looking here on the daily, I'm going to include the same drawings. Nope, let's just leave it like that. Zoom in a little bit. Friday closed red, but it made a higher high and a lower low. Still, this consolidation here, actually, let's include the weekly drawings. There we go. That was that breakout. That breakout on that point, 6,700,000. Well, sorry, that swing high there was 6,700,000. The breakout was 17 million. Again, more breakout, more volume on the breakout. Higher high. Big consolidation here. Red candle. Yeah. Didn't take out that high. The volume is getting lower. So there's less selling action here. Say it's in a resting stage, building strength for the next move, trend. But again, positive thing here is see big volume breakout. That's a positive action. Let's go look at the intraday on the 15-minute. I'm sorry, intraday on the 30-minute charts. Friday opened there, opened high. Massive volume, a lot of day trading activity probably. The trend was lower. The end of the day did not continue down. The end of the day reversed. And buyers stepped in for the stock as well too. The first half an hour of the day, 9:30 a.m., 10 a.m., had the huge volume, over 1,200,000. The bottom of the day, right here, this last Thursday, but the bottom of the day turned green, reversed, trend reversed on 30-minute, and more volume came in. 1 million on this last 30-minute candle, 1,273,000. Yep, not a big difference from these two. So again, significant buying activity here. At the end of the day, buying, obviously they're not taking profits if they bought there. No. Here, buyers. Maybe we'll have some activity Monday or sometime later in the week where things might go higher. Maybe into this top of this consolidation, 47.65. Let's look at the weekly. Here we go, the weekly. Could even go up to the 50 bucks. Yep. So are you bullish or biased? Just looking at the charts I showed you. Well, again, the trend is up on the weekly. The daily, the trend is up. Consolidation, breakout to the upside, consolidation. Intraday, that's easy to be misled. But again, the end of the day, buyers stepped in. It didn't have a hard sell-off. First, there are some stocks that sell off hard at the end of the day. This one, again, at the end of the day, buyers stepped in. Let's look at the option chain, which caught my attention. Remember, the stock closed at, the last was $43 for the stock. So looking here, option activity. This is on desktop trading platform, Thinkorswim, which I use every so often. For the current month, again, first here on the left, you're going to see all these transactions I have filtered out to be Friday the 14th, the past Friday. All the contracts I was looking at are ones for July that expire 21 July. This Friday they expire. Okay, so I narrowed it down for activity for swing trade, short term. And again, most of these are blue, representing the calls. 2 of them are purple, representing the puts. Good. These are directional, most of these. So again, more people were buying call options for options that expire this Friday versus buying put options, again, showing bullish bias. I also have it filtered down just to show me trades that were minimum 100 or more shares. Yeah, some huge ones. The biggest one for the calls, this was just for trades on Friday. The biggest trade on Friday for calls was somebody took one trade for 507 contracts, 42.50 strike, 42.50 strike on the call side. Versus the biggest put trade was only 100 shares, 42 put. Let's look up in that option chain. Again, the July one that expires this Friday, 5 trading days. The strikes are in the middle. Open interest here on the calls. I want to show you something here. Look at open interest on the calls. Right off the bat, there's a large one, 16,000 plus. That's the 45 strike. And the next largest open interest is 17,000 plus 50 strike. Let's go to the put side. Here's the puts. Open interest. The largest is 7,000 on the 40 strikes. So again, there's more interest on the calls, leaning bullish bias. Huge difference, really, right? 7,000 is the largest on the puts for this contract. Versus here, we have huge interest, 16,000 plus, 17,000 plus. Okay. Then looking on the volume of Friday for the calls, just these strikes. Again, I'm showing 30 strikes. Here's this 30 strikes between 36 and 51. I'm doing that because the delta for me is relevant. So I'm looking here, the volume, the biggest volume occurred here, 9,150. On the 45 strike, right? 45 strike. Versus the puts, the largest volume, just volume, again, buying and selling it. On the puts, the largest, 574, looks like. Yeah, 574 for the 42 puts. Again, these deltas are irrelevant because they were the last delta at the close. So who knows these deltas here, this delta, who knows what they were, particularly when the trade went through for each of them. Again, very light. We're looking here again, 574 was the volume. Which again, the open interest is 1,000. The open interest on this is 7,000, but I had less volume. Well, obviously 43 there. So the lower strikes on the puts still had light activity. First, closed at 43. Here's 43. And if we look at the volume, the volumes out of the money, the higher strike out of the money had huge. Okay. So again, looking here on the activity, that I narrowed it down to 42.50 calls. 42.50 calls. So one might consider Monday morning before the market opens, before 9:30 a.m., if you're bullish, to put a working order on. You set the price, what you want to buy it at. So if you look here at the 42.50, was it 42.50? Let's just double check. Have the 42.50 call. 42.50 call. The bid and ask, so to buy it is $166 per contract. If there's the volume there. But if you want to go out of the money, to strike further away, which costs less money, well, then you might look at the deltas closest to 19. The closest to 19 is 20 deltas. Again, when the market opens Monday, that could be different. Probably will be. So, but again, based on Friday, the nearest 19 delta is right there, the 20 delta. And that strike is 46.50, and you pay $42 for it. But a lot of people might do the round numbers, the whole numbers, 46, 47. So let's look at the option activity on those. The 46, pretty big activity, over 2,000. Fast is $49. If you want to go lower to the 17. Or look at down here too. Somebody took a, well, the volume was over 5,000, almost 6,000, 5,900, 16 cents a contract for the 50 put, far out of the money. Yep. It was like a gamble, like a lottery ticket when they buy the bonus number. Of course, this will pay less if it wins, because the closer the strike is to the underlying, the more value this would be. So thinking that just someone left a tip. If that's what you want to do, buy something cost less, risk less, doesn't mean it's going to win. Or if you want to get something closer to the delta 20. Yep. But then you might look in between 9 o'clock in the morning, New York time, and before 9:30, consider doing one of these, queuing up, setting the price, putting good till cancel. And between 9:30 a.m. when the market opens and 10, you may have to adjust it by a few pennies to get it filled if that's what you want. I want to go chasing it. Either you get in at a good price without this being too far away, because it closed on Friday red. So it might have been a manipulation. Yep. To get it down lower. Let's look in here again, to get it down lower. So the big institutions may be able to buy it at a lower price. Again, looking here, they pumped it up, brought it down, and then they bought it. So again, somebody was willing to buy the stock here at the end of the day. They're bullish. Obviously, someone sold it because they're bearish, but they may not know what they don't know. So this person bought it there. And we'll finish it off by looking at the option. Look at this. Watch, we want to go down here. Same thing. This is the two biggest ones, but I want to show you here. The market closes at 1600 New York time. At 1556, was like 4 minutes before the market closes. That largest option trade for the calls went in. So obviously somebody is very bullish near the end of the day with the stock. You got it? With the stock, somebody bought huge. Over 1,270,003 shares traded there. And huge contract order. First, the puts. The last put trade was at 1505, which is 305. They did a 400, yeah. Just something to consider. Trade out there. Monday, July 17th, 0904 a.m. New York time. Good morning. Pre-market, meaning before the U.S. stock market opens at 9:30. Looking here on the pre-market of the stock symbol, Romeo Bravo Lima X-ray, trade eye there. Romeo Bravo Lima X-ray. Left grid is the daily chart, and the right grid here is 15-minute chart. So pre-market, this is the current price action. The highest for the day was pre-market $43.38, and the lowest so far has been $42.99. So that price action here represents it's still inside of range from the high and low from Friday. So as of right now, not expecting any gap up or down to open. The current news from the data I have, nothing has been released over the weekend nor today. And level 2 price action, not much occurring yet. Yep. So we still have the whole week ahead of us. And if you're looking to do the stock instead of the option, to buy at a price that's somewhere within the price range from Friday, well, one would do this now. Be a day order, limit, minimum 1 share. And the price action, let's open this up here. Make sure we got it right. Looking at this Friday's candle, the high was 45.09 and the low was 42.45. So I could chase this order here and want to make sure it's below at least the high of Friday. So again, looking on this red candle in the top right, the high was 45.09 and the low was 42.45. Yep, looking here on level 1 price action. I simply set this price that I want to get filled at. And going back here on the chart on the 15 minutes, like this, again. So I may want to have a little fluff if I want to get filled. So maybe I put the pre-market high, which is here, again, 43.38, and round it off to 43.40. And then as I get closer to 9:30, I certainly could adjust that. Yep. Oh. One could simply go 43.40, change this. And if it opens lower than that, I get filled anyway. So it's locked in. Let's put a penny below, penny up. There you go. See, 43.40, limit order. So it won't get filled above that. So if the price is open above that, it won't get filled. It has to be at least at that price. But if it's lower, it would get filled. I'm telling you, for a day order. Yep. So as it get closer to 9:30, say around 9:20, I'll look at this. But I can certainly lock this in now, confirm and send. Yep, but no need to do that because I'm going to readjust this around 9:20, 9:25. So we're in this, leave it here so you can see the level, the intraday right now, what's occurring. Monday, July 17th, 5:32 p.m. New York time. This is an update on the trade idea given over the weekend. Stock symbol, Romeo, Bravo, Lima, X-ray. It's up here on the top left in that window. Company makes software for gaming. Trade idea was bullish. We're looking at a weekly chart. Yes, today's Monday, so just 1 day so far. The current week is done. Inside candle, we haven't taken out the high or low of last week yet. But the current candle, Hala, equivalent to a green candle, is at the top of its range. That's bullish. Taking it over here now to the daily chart, it closed green. Did make a lower low on Friday, but it closed green above midpoint. If you take the top of that red candle on the bottom and look at the middle of it, we closed above it. That's good. Plus the green candle closed above its midpoint for the day. Again, bullish. It's also here in a consolidation of bullish. It's a bigger consolidation. A lot of energy was resting here, building up energy. Broke above on that day, making a new consolidation. So what do we have here? A staircase pattern, higher high. Today's volume, you're going to see down here when I hover over it, is over 6 million. First Friday, 9 million. And that breakout day, 17 million. So nothing to be disappointed with in volume. Also, we have this big wick on the bottom when it traded down there during the daytime. It went back in here, which was a demand or prior buyers tested it. Buyers were here again to buy it and brought it back up. Look at the 15-minute. And here's the 15-minute. Market closed, and there was no panic selling. Still an accumulation here. Zoom in. Beginning of the market. Again, these are 15-minute candles. Beginning of the market, huge volatility. Went all the way down to a low of 41.82. I'm going to show you the options prices momentarily because I was watching this when this was occurring, and I was looking to do my trade after 9:45 a.m. because typically the first 15 minutes has extreme volatility and it's hard to get direction. Yep, shadow my hands awaited, as well as multi with other trades. So yeah, I missed out to get that dirt cheap. Okay, let's go forward. So look at this 15-minute candle, extreme bullish, long wick on the bottom, huge volume. And from then, broke above, consolidation, broke above, consolidation, and ended up going higher for the day. This last 15-minute green candle, huge volume. Yep. And it wasn't a sell-off. Nope. Well, see what happens going into the next day. Well, now let's look at the options, see how things went. Today's activity, we're just looking at contracts that occurred today for this underlining. Now I'm looking specifically just from one particular contract, the one that expires this Friday, 21 July. These are all the timestamps when they went off, as well as watching the options that occurred last Friday. One of the big ones was the 45 call. Yep, so again, the purple are the puts. And I just have this filtered out just for trades that were a minimum of 100 shares. So again, you see majority of them were not puts. The purple ones are the puts. So only two big trades occurred on those. 41.50 put, 41.50 put. So you can see here, 100 contracts, $36. Same $100 contracts, 36. Yeah, between the bid and the ask. Between the bid and ask. Don't know necessarily if they were opening and closing it. But again, there's more activity on the call side, these blue ones. And the biggest one was the 45 strike, 451 contracts, 97. Bid and ask, so it was on the higher end. So let's go look here again. 45 calls on the chart. 45 calls are above the high today. So that's out of the money. Call options, somebody was trading. Let's go back to here. Look at the beginning of the day. 10 a.m. Again, there were more orders throughout the day earlier, but they were less significant to me. So I'm not going to open the whole chain. But the point is, look here on a few strikes. The 50 call looks like the highest call somebody bought out. And the lowest call looks like it was the 42. So going here, this last order near the market close, 3:57, a few minutes before the market closes, 50 strike. Again, these contracts expire this Friday. The 50 strike on the call side, quantity 235, 12 cents. So between the bid and ask. So a higher probability assumption that these are being, I know it's red here, but the perception is because these are out of the money strike. Perception is they probably bought these and they're still bullish in the game because every trade has a buyer and seller. So 50 calls at that point in time versus this one, 15:16, early in the day. Look at here, 3:16 p.m. New York time, 45 calls, 451.97. Yeah, interesting, right? $97 I paid per contract. Then just shy of market closing. Higher strike further out of the money, 12 cents. So now I'm going to show you and finish this here. This 15-minute candle, option chain. Oops. These 45 strike this call this morning around like 9:35, 9:37. This was as low as, I think it was like $35. I seen it $35 and $45. It happened real fast during that 15-minute spike. Again, all this in the 15 minutes when it was down here. I was watching that strike. I'm looking at my notes. I think I had it low as $35. And then it took off, went to 45, and I sat on hands because, again, it was still the first 15-minute trading day. And then I saw it go up to $61. Again, when this candle was forming, running back up here, I was like, wow, so fast. And several times I had the opportunity to take the trade. But again, it was in that first 15 minutes. I didn't have trust, confidence, sat on hands. I certainly didn't lose anything. Yeah, but look at that. So as low as $35, $40 and to close at 97. Yeah. Again, obviously there's opening and closing trades for the day traders. That was amazing. Yeah. And then I was looking for the deltas around 20 and 19. They were here, the deltas. They all did good. They all went higher. Yeah. So again, if you got this trade, when I mentioned to put a working order on, I sent this message out to my Patreon members before the market opened. You could put a working order on to buy one stock share within this price range of Friday for the day order. And if you did, well, when the market opened, you should have been filled if you used a limit order that was certainly below the high of this dollar amount. I'm going to move down there. So the point is, regardless of whatever price, if you got in, took that trade the first 15 minutes, let's look at the high of this candle, 43.29 and 44.50. So like $1. Remember I mentioned you can make $1? If you did that, you should have made your profit already. So if you just bought the stock, just one share, yeah, you could have closed, already made your profit. Whereas the option, well, if you know how to trade options, we're doing even better. Yeah. Buy options are doing good. More to come the next day on this trade idea. Tuesday, July 18th, 08:46 a.m. New York time. Good morning. This is an update during pre-market hours on the trade idea before the stock market opens. For us that are in positions with stock symbol Romeo Bravo Lima X-ray, we're looking at a chart. On the left, it's the daily chart from yesterday's close. And to the right is the intraday chart on the 15-minute. So we have the stock trading above the high of yesterday. If you're still in positions, expect the stock to gap up higher. Nothing wrong taking profits this morning to place a working order on right now or closer to the 9:30 a.m. before the market opens. I'm certainly going to be doing that with my option position to readjust it, to look to take profits, because once the market gaps up, that volatility will be fast, and the premium I should be able to collect to close the trade would be even better. Saturday, July 22nd, 10:48 a.m. New York time. This is an update on the trade idea I shared beginning of the week. Stock symbols Romeo Bravo Lima X-Ray. Again, Roblex Corporation, Romeo Bravo, Lima X-Ray. Looking at a daily chart, I traded options on this trade. Monday was my entry. Tuesday, I closed the trade for profits. I did the out of the money call. It was a 46.50 strike. At that moment, I got in, it was 20 Delta, and this had 4 days to expire. Yep, it was expiring the same week on Friday. Expired yesterday. See here on the daily chart, the day I got in, it closed green. The next day, it did gap up, make a higher high, higher low, closed red, taking out all these highs and still closing above it. And then again, the next day, gapped up here, higher, higher high, higher low, and huge red body. And the next day here, Thursday, gap down, hard sell-off. And then Friday, lower low, lower high. Pump and dump. Going into this trade, I was thinking I might be in it for more than 2 days, maybe till, again, I got it on Monday. I was thinking maybe Wednesday or Thursday I might be in the trade. But I was not greedy. I liked my profits I had on that next day, Tuesday, because again, the stock gapped up. The premiums were so pumped up. That doesn't last so long. It doesn't even last likely for the whole day. So again, I closed early in the morning, had a working order on, closed, took profits. Yeah, in hindsight, look at that. It went higher the next day. Could have had more money. I mentioned that earlier. Again, best winning a trade versus losing a trade. And all these people that come in late to the trade, regardless if they got the stock or the option, they got slaughtered. Yep. Let's look on the weekly, see how it performed. Okay, we're looking here on a 3-year performance. That was the high, over $141. Look at the past several years, lower lows. And for the week, it closed red, where it did make a higher high, but closed red below the prior body. So this period of time, there I mentioned, there was some, I forgot earlier in the video, I think I mentioned there's something happening there that interests me. And they finally had there. Let's look at the intraday for 5 days. The dark gray areas, the extended hours. So here's where I got in the trade. After this activity, I wish I got in earlier there. I sat there and watched it. I should have. Anyway, this, from Monday, it went all up. Good volume, kept on bringing it up. Tuesday, gapped up, huge volume. Obviously, a lot of buying and selling activity at that first 15 minute. Interesting, it turned around and went higher to close up there. Extended hours, it went higher, and that's it. From here, Wednesday, that was the highest of the week. And then a hard sell-off. Even in the afternoon, people came back buying in. Then after the market closed, a huge dump. And then obviously all sell off one direction on Friday. Again, stocks don't continue going up one direction. Some of the other option high activity I saw for trade ideas, but it's already too late for me to get in. One was Sierra, India, Romeo, India. May have heard of this company, Sirius XM Holding, Satellite Radio. Looking at a daily chart here. So it came to me on notice, I think it was Thursday. Yeah, so to me, the prices were already overinflated, so I didn't get in it. But looking at the chart in hindsight, yep, there was activity all the way back here, days ahead. And Thursday was that huge green candle. And Friday, small candle. Again, very light news, or I don't think there was any news catalyst mentioning what was going on here. So something interesting. And then looking here on the weekly chart, huge trading range, biggest trading range over 3 years from the high to low for 1 week. And back in 2021, the stock was a high of $18.14. Sorry, $8.14. So again, it's a penny stock, huge pump and dump. And we got earnings coming soon. The first of next month. And let's look at the intraday on 5 days. Early indication. And then sell off. That huge move up Option traders make a boatload of money. It went down. Missed that trade. There's always another trade. And the last one did have news because it was company owners, insider trading, misleading information. Delta, Whiskey, Alpha, Charlie. It's a SPAC company. Digital Real Access. What is a SPAC if you don't know? SPAC is like a stock index. It's when a person owns a company. It's generally easy to get listed on the stock market. We're looking on a weekly chart. You see weekly, green candle, huge body, huge volume. Here is the high 3 years ago. $175 all the way back during the IPO. So what a SPAC is when companies on their own don't meet the requirements to get on the stock exchanges. There's so many different stock exchanges, but they don't meet the requirements. They don't have to be American companies, or they could be as well too. But there's these other companies that let them come under umbrella of them, and their own, all a part of the companies. So a SPAC, again, is a stock that owns several other companies that meet the regulations to be on the stock market. Now, a SPAC, typically you have sectors, industries. So you might have a SPAC that's only dealing with real estate, managing company, but only, again, partner with companies dealing with real estate. There's some that are dealing with EVs and batteries. Those are SPACs. I mentioned one of those in the past. That was a UK English company. But this company was dealing with creating a social media platform for the Trump organization. Again, they didn't meet the requirements, so they went with this Miami-based SPAC company, which owned a bunch of other companies that have not all been successful. And then they got listed, and they pumped and dumped, and they finally got called out. Court hearing this week, past week, federal court hearing here. And I remember when the IPO came out, there were several Congress members that bought into the IPO after it went public listed. So they weren't even qualified with the financial institutions because they didn't know they could buy pre-IPO. So they bought in the open market at the high. One of these Congress members is from Georgia, her. She bought at the high. She's proud to say she bought at the high at that moment because she thought it was going to go higher. Held on to the stock since then. It's got lower. Again, just because you're a Congress member doesn't mean you're real advised about financial institutions, trading. There's also Congress members I mentioned that bought cryptocurrencies that lost a lot on both sides. Let's go look here on the intraday. So you can see Friday it gapped up. Last few days, huge activity, again, because the court hearing going on. And the past 5 days, intraday, you can see a lot of huge activity. What does a company do for revenue, income source? Yeah, it's no Apple. It's a pump and dump. It's no Facebook, or sorry, no Meta that owns a bunch of other companies that are big successful. So come every day, every week, there's new trade opportunities. Just have to look in the option chains, see unusual volume. It works. I just showed you the one I did. Again, it takes a lot of time to look for these, and I'm not necessarily spending that much time on them because I have my go-to financial instruments I focus on.